Hi friends, welcome to Krako's video series. I'm Saili Kale. I'm one of the co-founders of Krako and an alumna of IIM Ahmedabad. So before you see the explanation video on a particular set of games and tournaments, I wanted to let you know what are games and tournaments in general. So games and tournaments questions come often in CAT. It's one of those DILR sets where you will see a lot in CAT because it's one of the easier sets to set. It is very logical in nature and it can be replicated across slots. So I personally expect games and tournaments questions to come in CAT. So it's important that you have a strategy in place before you go into CAT to answer games and tournaments questions. So what kinds of games and tournaments questions come? So there are three broad categories. So the first type of games and tournaments questions which come most often in CAT are basically table based G&T questions. So in these kind of questions, basically you are given an incomplete scoreboard. This is one of the favorite sets that the paper setters really like to do. So incomplete scoreboards would be given and then you will be asked to guess the what was the score, who won, who lost, who won by how many points, etc. The second type of games and tournaments question that come are multi-stage tournaments and knockout tournaments. So in multi-stage tournaments, basically you will have something like the IPL where you or the Cricket World Cup. So in multi-stage tournaments you have a league stage. Okay, in a league stage you play inside a league and the toppers of the league proceed to the knockout stages. So in basically consider IPL. In IPL one team plays all the other teams, and once you have played enough number of matches, then the teams which are at the top 4 teams then play quarterfinals, semi-finals and finals. So or top 8 teams or whatever. So basically you pass on to the knockout stages after you play the league stages. Okay, so these are multi-stage tournaments because there are two different stages of the tournament. There's the league stage and there's the knockout stage. There might be tournaments which are entirely knockout. That is, somebody is knocked out in every part of the tournament. How does this work? So consider the classic example of this is like the tennis Grand Slam. In a tennis Grand Slam, if you lose a match, you're out. So knockout tournaments are ones where if you lose a match, you're out of the tournament. So Grand Slams are those kind of tournaments. The final, semi-finals part of most even multi-stage tournaments are knockout tournaments. If you lose in a quarterfinal, you're out of the tournament. So these are basically knockout tournaments. For each of these three types of tournaments, you have to remember, okay, how do I actually represent the information? How do I encode the information? So for most of these cases, this, a table-based approach is good. For table-based scoreboards, incomplete scoreboards, actually write down the scoreboard and start to fill it. For multi-stage tournaments also, you can either make tables for their intermediate scores at the league level, or you can just write down, for example, that say CSK played say KKR in the league stages. Then you can write down, okay, who won and by what was the net run rate or whatever, how many points were given. You can write that down at the stage level as such in a table format, or you can write that down as like this, where you are just writing down, okay, in league stages these matches occurred and this was the result. For knockout tournaments, what I personally prefer to do is use a tree structure. So in tree structure, basically I say that, okay, these are the 8 teams going into the quarterfinals. Of these 2 are going to play the semi-finals and these 2 are going to play the finals. So this represents the winner of the final, this represents the final, these 2 represent the semi-finals, and these are the 4 quarterfinals. So this tree structure essentially helps you write down what is the helps you kind of depict the knockout tournament as it advances as such. We have videos on all of these things. So how do you actually prepare for games and tournaments? See, the best way to prepare for DILR is to try to solve these question sets yourself. If you don't have access to even Krako's premium resources, we have a lot of games and tournaments questions in our study room. We have a lot of concepts and concept videos and concept tests related to this. But even if you are not a Krako premium user, there are many ways you can actually get good games and tournament sets. One of them is daily target. We solve different types of DILR sets every day in our daily target, and many of them are on games and tournaments. So please solve from our daily target. Then the next place would be take our free mocks. In our free mocks, you have good games and tournament sets. And the third place where you can find games and tournament sets for free would be our previous papers. So we have put up all the CAT previous papers in mock format. So this is if it's in a mock format, you can take the experience of actually giving the previous year CAT. So please check out the previous year CAT papers. This has come often enough in CAT so that you can actually see enough number of games and tournaments questions as such. So if you solve these three, you will get enough practice of games and tournaments questions. So please start practicing. This is a very important topic as far as CAT is concerned.
The secret to crack CAT is taking a lot of mocks. We at Krakow give all the previous year's CAT, XAT and IFT papers in the actual exam format. Also, if you just Google Krakow free CAT mock, you can find 3 free CAT mocks in the latest exam pattern. You can take them and get detailed analysis.
This is a very interesting set from CAT 2019 slot 2 LRDA, which I think is very time consuming. In an ideal situation, if this kind of a set comes in the examination, I would recommend you not attempting it. You should be able to understand that this is a time guzzler. If you try to attempt this set, it will take a lot of time. So in an examination, it is better if you avoid attempting these kind of questions. The second interesting thing about this set is that this is a missing values in a table kind of a set, but it also has shades of Sudoku. So somebody who is solving Sudoku fast will be able to answer this question faster than the normal person. So let us get into it. So this question has details about a rifle shooting competition. There are 10 participants and 6 of them participate in each round. In all, there are 10 rounds. So the person who wins the round gets 7 points. The person who comes second gets 3 points, and the person who comes third gets 1 point in that particular round. We are given the total of each individual, each of the participant after round 6, and we are also given the total after round 10. So let us try to put the information that is given in table and then see what is missing. So first there are 10 participants. So there is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I and J. Now let us assume that these are the scores in each of the round. Round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5, round 6, and this is the total after round 6. The interesting thing about this question is that you can separate this into 2 parts. One, let us first analyze only the first 6 rounds, and then let us analyze the rounds between 7 and 10. Now we can put the total that was given after 6 rounds for each one of the 10 participants and then try to see how much each one of them has scored in each of the rounds. So if you see the score, the total of the first Amita after 6 rounds is 8, then 2, 3, 6, 3, 10, 17, 1, 2 and 14. And we should also recognize that not all of them have participated in all the 10 rounds. If you look at the information that is given, players from round players numbered 1 to 6 have participated in round 1. So players from 7 to 10 have not participated in the first round. Similarly, the players from 2 to 7 have participated in round 2. So the others haven't participated. You can continue doing it. You can easily observe a pattern. For example, in round 3, players from 3 to 8 have participated. So you can extend this further and you can observe a nice pattern, at least as far as who has participated in all these rounds is concerned. So cross over here would suggest that participant has not participated in the round. So once you get this table, let us try to analyze and try to fill it up as fast as we can. Now the first thing that you should observe is that the second participant, that is B, scored a total of 2. So, and he has participated in 2 rounds. The only way this is possible is if he has scored 1 in each of the 2 rounds. The second thing that you should observe is participant J has scored 14 and he has participated in 2 rounds. So he has scored 7 in both the rounds. Remember that the only 3 non-zero values possible are 7, 3 and 1. Next, if you observe person A, he has participated in 2 rounds, 1 and 6, and he has scored 8. So he has scored 7 and 1. Now because B has already scored 1 in the first round, it would mean that A has scored 7 and 1 in round 1 and 6 respectively. There is some more information given about rounds 1 and 6, which says that Gordon, that is the 7th participant, did not score in any 2 consecutive rounds. And the total that Gordon has scored after the first 6 rounds is 17. The only way that is possible is if it is 7 plus 7 plus 3. Now, so he has scored in at least 3 rounds and he has participated in a total of 5 rounds. This would mean that he has scored in rounds 2, 4 and 6. Now, it is easy to notice that in round 6, Joshin has already scored 7. So that would mean that Gordon has scored 3 in round 6. It would also mean that he has scored 7 in rounds 2 and 4. Now you can notice that we have got all the 3 values of 731 in round 6. So we have completed that. So let us mark zeros for others because it will avoid confusion. Similarly, now if you observe the 9th person, that is IKEA, he has scored 2 and there are only 2 remaining rounds left. So it would mean that he has scored 1 in both the remaining rounds. Then if you observe the 8th participant H, you know that he has scored 1, but he couldn't score 1 in 4 and 5 because the participant number 9 IK has already scored 1. It would mean that his 1 has come in round 3. So let us mark again zeros in the rounds which we already know. Then if you observe the number of 7s, we got the 7 in first round, we got the 7 in the second round, we didn't get the 7 in the third round, but we got 7 in 4th, 5th and 6th rounds. Now if you're looking at 7th in the third round, the only person who has a score which is greater than 7 is the 6th participant Fatima. So it would mean that she has scored 7 in the third round. Now if you observe, we have finished all the 7s. We were able to identify all the 7s in all the 6 rounds. We are also able to identify all the 1s in all the rounds. Now we need to just identify the 3s in all the rounds. We have only 1 3 in round 6. Now if you look at each of the participant, we have identified A. We have got where he has, in which round he has scored 7 and 1. We identified B. We have figured out where they have got their 2s. We haven't identified C. There is a 3 which we have to identify. For D there are 2 3s which we have to identify. For E there is 1 3 we have to identify. And for F also there is 1 3 that we have to identify. We identified G, H, I and J. Now if you look at it, there is another information that is given which says that Eric and Fatima both scored in a round. Now Eric has already scored a 7 in round 3. Now so Fatima also has 1 3 left and she has only 1 3. So that 3 has to come in round 3 because there is no other alternative left. The only other alternative is that Eric and Fatima both scored 3 in the same round, which is not possible. So it would imply that Eric has scored 3 in the same round, Fatima has scored a 7. So again let us fill up zeros in the remaining rounds, in the remaining columns which we know people have not scored. So we have even finished Eric. Now all we need to do is we have 4 3s left. There is 1 3 from C, there are 2 3s from D and there is 1 3 from E. Now the thing that we should observe is that the 2 3s that David has scored can't be in the first and second rounds because there are only C, that is Chen, has participated only in the first and second rounds and in one of the 2 of them he has definitely scored a 3. So that would imply that in the 4th round David has scored a 3. This is important to notice because once we have figured out that David has scored 3 in round 4, we can even identify that Fatima has scored 3 in round 5 because she can't score 3 in round 4. So once we have all of this, the only 2 that are remaining are who scored 3 in round 1 and who scored 3 in round 2. This information we can't pinpoint. It can be either of the 2. So it can be either 3 or 0 or 0 or 3. Similarly, it can be 0 or 3 or 3 or 0. What we know for sure is in the first round and in the second round, the third, that is the person who came second, is either Chen or David. Now once you have it, you have figured out which participant has scored how much in all the first 6 rounds. Now we will do something similar for round 7 to 10 and then try to identify who has scored what in each of the rounds. Let us again draw a different table. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I and J. This is the 7th round, this is the 8th round, this is the 9th round, this is the 10th round, and over here this is the total from rounds 7 to 10 only. Now let us try to first find out the individual totals of each of the 10 players from round 7 to 10, then identify which of the rounds they have actually played in, and then try to identify what points they have scored in each of the rounds. For identifying how much they have scored in each of the rounds, we have to just subtract the first column's value from the second column's value. For example, in the case of Amita, it is 18 minus 8, so that is 10. Similarly, it is 3, 3, 0, 7, 0, 0, 3, 15 and 3. This is the total that each one of them has scored in the 4 rounds, 7 to 10. Now let us identify which of the players have participated in each of the rounds. We know that in round 7, players 7 to 10 and 1 and 2 have participated. So in round 7, these guys have participated. So C, 3, 4, 5 and 6 have not participated. Similarly in round 8, it will be 4, 5, 6 and 7 who don't participate. And likewise for the remaining 2 rounds. So for example, in round 10, players 10 and 1 to 5 would participate. Now once you have this, again let us try to identify if we can immediately fill the table with any of the values. The first thing that you would observe is that Eric has scored 7 and he participated in only 1 round, so it is 7. Similarly, all the guys who have scored 0, we can try to fill them up so that we will avoid any confusion. Now the second thing you would observe is that IK has scored 15, so that would mean that he has scored 7, 7 and 1. And there is some more information given about rounds 7 to 10. It is said that only 2 players have scored in 3 consecutive rounds, and one of them is Chen, and no other player scored in any 2 consecutive rounds. Once you know that Chen has scored in 3 consecutive rounds and the total he scored is 3, it would mean that he has scored 1, 1, 1 in all the rounds that he has participated in. So, and the second player who has scored in 3 consecutive rounds would obviously be IKEA because he has scored 7, 7, 1 in the rounds. Now, the one that IKEA would have scored would come in the first round because Chen has scored 1 in rounds 8, 9 and 10. So, in round 7, IKEA would score 1. This would imply that he has scored 7 in rounds 8 and 9. Now, we know the 7 scored in round 10, we know the 7 scored in round 9 and in round 8. If you are looking at the 7 that is scored in the round 7, the only person who has a score greater than 7 left is A, Amita. So she has scored a 7 in round 7. Now let us try to understand what is the information that we already have. So now in this table we have all the 4 7s and we have all the 4 1s. What is remaining is just where all the 4 3s would go. So we need to figure out who scored, who came second in each of the 4 rounds, and then we are done. Now for example, there is 1 3 that is coming from Amita, there is 1 3 that is coming from Bala, Chen is complete, David is complete, Eric is complete, Fatima is complete, Gordon is done, there is 1 3 that is coming from Hansa, IK is done, and there is 1 3 that is coming from Joshin. So these are the 4 people who are remaining and they have scored 1 3 in each of the 4 rounds. Now let us see the information that is given. It is told that Joshin scored in round 7. So this 3 is from Joshin. Now once we know that Joshin scored in round 3, we can identify that Hamsa scored 3 in round 8 because she has participated only in round 7 and round 8. Now once we know that, let us again fill up all the other tables. So we are also told that Amita scored in round 10. So Amita scored 3. This would imply that Bala scored in round 9. So once you have this information, we know that all the table has been filled up. We know which player has scored what in each of the 10 rounds. Now let us go and try to answer the questions. Let us look at the first question. The first question says, what were the scores of C, D and D respectively after round 3? So let us figure it out. For C, after round 3, he would have scored 3 because it is 3 or 0 in the first round, 0 or 3 in the second round and 0 in the third round. So C would score 3. Similarly, D would score 3 and E would score 3 because it is 0 plus 0 plus 3. So the first answer is 3, 3, 3, which is option B. Now let us look at the next question. Which 3 players were in the last 3 positions after round 4? So this is quite interesting. So because we have to calculate the cumulative scores of all the players after the first 4 rounds. So let us do that fast. The total for A is 7. The total for B is 2. For C, D and D, it will be For C it will be 3. For D it will be 6. For E it will be 3. For F it will be 7. For G it will be 14. For H it will be 1. For I it will be 1. And for J it will be 1. So when we are asked which 3 players, it will be H, I and J who have scored 1 each. All the others have scored more than 1. So the answer is option D. Now let us look at the next question. Which player scored points in the maximum number of rounds? So we have to figure out the player who has scored something in the maximum number of rounds. It is not asked whether he has scored 7 or 3 or 1. So if you look at it, again we can identify that A has scored twice in the first 6 rounds and twice in the next 6 rounds. So he has scored a total of 4 rounds. Similarly, B has scored in 2 rounds in the first 6 and 1 round in the second 4. Similarly, C has scored in 1 and 3. So 1 plus 3 is 4. D, E, F. So similarly, D has scored in 2 rounds in the first 6. E has scored in 1 round in the first 6. F has scored in 2 rounds in the first 6. G, H, I and J. G has scored in 3 rounds in the first 6. H has scored in 1 round in first 6. I has scored in 2 rounds in first 6. And J has scored in 2 rounds in the first 6. Now let us add the total in the next 4 rounds. D has scored in no rounds. E has scored in 1 round. F has scored in no rounds. G has scored in no rounds. H has scored in 1 round. I has scored in 3 rounds. And J has scored in 1 round. So the total will be 2, 2, 2, 3, 2. I has scored in 5 and J has scored in 3. So the person who has scored in the maximum number of rounds is I, who has scored in 5 rounds. So the answer is option D. Now if you are looking at the last question, which player scored points in the last round? So we need to identify who has scored points in the 10th round. It is A, E and C. A, C, E is the answer. They have scored 3, 1 and 7. So if you look at the answer, it is option D. As you can see, this is a very lengthy question. Identifying which rounds the players have played itself takes some time. Then writing the tables and identifying the players who have scored points in the first 6 rounds and in the 7th to 10th round again takes more time. Once you have solved all of them correctly, cumulatively finding the answers also is not very easy. You'll have to again go back and find out which player has scored in the maximum number of rounds, or those kind of things again takes time. So even after you have solved the group information, solving the individual questions again takes time. Having said all of this, having done all of this, there is still a chance that you have made some mistakes somewhere. So it is important that you identify which of the sets are time consuming and which of the sets are quite easily answerable. This set is of the former type, which should not be attempted in the actual examination. In this question, we are told that there is a sports event in which 6 teams A, B, C, D, E and F participate, and they play against each other once, but the tournament is divided into 2 stages, in stage 1 and stage 2. In stage 1, 3 matches happen for each team, and in stage 2, 2 matches happen for each team. We are given some clues about who won against whom in stage 1 and who won against whom in stage 2, and we are required to find out the results of each of the matches. So let us get started. Let us draw the tables for stage 1, and we'll do the same for even stage 2. We'll go through the clues and try to identify. So this is for stage 1. We will draw 3 columns. This is the name of the first column will be the name of the team, and the second column will be all the teams it has won against, and the third column will be all the teams it has lost against. So the first row will be for A, the second row will be for B, the third row will be for C, the fourth row will be for D, the fifth row will be for E, and the last row will be for F. this is stage 1, and we'll do the same even for stage 2. Again we'll draw 6 rows. This is for A, this is for B, this is for C, this is for D, this is for E, and we'll come down and this is for F. This is A, this is A, B, C, D, E and F. Now this is the name of the team, this is who they won against and this is who they lost against. So because there are 3 matches that are played by each of the teams in the first stage, the sum of all the teams that are in the 1 column and all the teams that are in the last column for each of the 6 teams will be exactly 3 in the first stage. And in the second stage, in stage 2, the sum of all the teams in the 1 column plus sum of all the teams in the last column will be 2 for all the teams, because the number of matches that they have played in the second stage is 2. So let us go through all the clues that are given. We are told that one team has won all the 3 matches. So one team has WWW in all the 3 matches that it has played in stage 1. There are 2 teams which lost all the matches. So there are 2 teams, that is 2 and 3, who lost all the 3 matches. We need to identify who these teams are. We are told that D lost to A but won against C and F. So D won against C and F and it lost against A. So this would imply that A won against D and C lost to D and F lost to D. So we have identified all the 3 matches that D has played in the first stage. Similarly, E lost to B. This would imply that B won against E, but E won against C and F. So E also won against C and F. So C and F have lost even to team E. B lost at least 1 match. So there is at least 1 match in the last column for B. This would immediately tell you that all the teams other than A have lost at least 1 match. So the team which won all the 3 games is A. Similarly, other than C and F, all the teams have at least won 1 match. This would imply that the teams that have lost all the 3 matches in the first row, in the first round, are C and F. So we have been able to identify all the 3 teams that we were able to identify the 3 games played by both D and E. Now let us identify, we are also given one clue that B has lost at least 1 match. Now the 1 match that B has lost, if we identify, it didn't play that against D or E, because we have identified all the 3 games that are played by D and E. Now we know that C and F have lost all the matches in the first round. So the only possibility for the loss for B is when it played against A. So this would imply that the loss for B is against A. This would also imply that A has won against B. Now we are also told the last clue. The last clue is that F did not play against the top team of stage 1. If you are looking at F, we have identified 2 games that it has played against. That is against D and E. We need to identify who it played against the third round. Now if we are told that F did not play against the top team is A. So the third game of F is not against D or E. It is also not against A. We also know that it can't be against C, because if it had played against C, one of the 2 would have won. So it can be either C which won or F which won, but we know that both of them lost all the 3 matches. So the only possibility is that F played against B and lost that game. That is, B played against F and won that game. And the only possible remaining matchup, because we have been able to identify all the 3 matchups of B, D, E and F, is the matchup between A and C. And because A won all its 3 games and C lost all its 3 games in the stage 1, it would imply that in the last column for C we'll put A, and in the 1 column for A we'll put C. So now we have been able to identify all the wins and losses and all the teams that each of these individual teams have played against in stage 1. We'll do the same thing even for stage 2. In stage 2, the leader of stage 1 lost the next 2 matches. The leader of stage 1 is team A and it lost the remaining 2 matches. Now in stage 1 it played against D, B and C. The only 2 teams it did not play against in stage 1 are E and F. Now we are told that it lost both of these matches, so we'll put E and F in the lost column for team A. Similarly, in the 1 column for team E, we'll put A and we'll do the same even for F. One of the 2 teams which was at the bottom of stage 1, the 2 teams which are at the bottom after stage 1 are C and F. They lost all their 3 matches. One of these 2 teams won both its matches in stage 2, while the other lost both its matches. We know that F has already beaten A. So it would imply that F won both its second matches, because F cannot suffer losses in both the matches because we know that it has already beaten A. This would imply that C has lost both its matches in stage 2. Now if you're looking at C, it already played against A, E and D in stage 1. The only teams which are remaining for C are B and F. So it lost both these matches. So B won against C and C lost against B and F. This would mean that F won against A and C. Now one more team lost both its matches. If you identify the teams for whom we have been able to identify all the 2 matches in stage 2, they are A, C and F. The teams for which we are not able to identify are B, D and E. But we are told that one more team lost both its matches. That team cannot be B, that team cannot be A, because we know for sure that they won at least 1 match in stage 2. That is B won against C and E won against A. So the only other team which lost both its matches is D. And D played against A, C and F in stage 1. So the 2 matches that D played and lost in stage 2 will be against B and E. This is for D. So D lost against B and D lost against E. So we can add the same even in the winners column for E and B. So now we have been able to identify all the matches that were played in stage 2 and won or lost for each of these individual teams. Now we can go ahead and solve the questions. The team that defeated the leader of the 2 teams that defeated the leader of stage 1 are the 2 teams that defeated the leader of stage 1 are E and F. So the correct answer is B. The only team that won both matches in stage 2 are, we are looking for the teams which won both the matches in stage 2. This will be B, which won against C and D, E, which won against A and D, and F, which won against A and C. So it is B, E and F, which is option D. Let us go to the next question. The teams that won exactly 2 matches in the event are, so overall including both stage 1 and stage 2, we are looking for teams which won exactly 2 matches. If you are looking at A, B, C, D, E and F, we will calculate the total number of matches they won in stage 1 and stage 2. A won 3 in stage 1 and 0 in stage 2. B won 2 in stage 1 and 2 in stage 2. C won 0 in stage 1 and 0 in stage 2. D won 2 in stage 1 and 0 in stage 2. E won 2 in stage 1 and 2 in stage 2. While F won 0 in stage 1 and 2 in stage 2. So the total for A is 3, the total for B is 4, total for C is 0, total for D is 2, total for E is 4 and total for F is 2. So the 2 teams which won exactly 2 overall are D and F, which is option E. Now let us go to the last question. The teams with the most win in the event are, we have just calculated the most wins. B won 4 and E won 4. So the correct answer will be B and E. That is option E. In this question, we are told that there is an Australian Open in which there are players who are seeded from seed 1 to seed 32 who compete in it. There are 4 rounds. There is the first round, there is the second round, there is the quarterfinals and there is the semi-finals. So there are 4 rounds before the final, and finally there is a finals. In each of the rounds there are matches which are numbered. They are numbered from starting from 1. For example, in the first round The match in which the first seed plays the 32 seed is called the first match, and the match in which the second seed plays the 31st seed is called the second match, and so on. And the match in which the 16th seed plays the 17th seed is called match number 16. Note that the sum of the seeds in any of these matches is 33. That is 1 plus 32 is 33, 2 plus 31 is 33, and so on. Similarly, the winner of the first match, that is match 1, say the first seed wins the match, and the winner of the 16th match, say seed 16 wins the match in the first round. So both of them compete against each other in the second round, and this match is called match number 1 in second round. This will continue even in quarterfinals, semifinals, and the winner is finally decided by who wins the final. This is the information that is given. Now let us try and solve the questions that follow. If there are no upsets, that is a lower seeded player beating the higher seeded player in the first round, and only matches 6, 7 and 8 of the second round result in upsets, then who would play Lindsay Davenport in the quarterfinals, assuming that Davenport reaches the quarterfinals. So let us ignore the name for now. Let us first try to understand how the results will be in the first and the second rounds, and then match up the seed number of Lindsay Davenport and see who she will face. So in the first round, seed 1 plays against seed 32, seed 2 plays against 31, and so on, and seed 16 plays against seed 17. We are told that there are no upsets in the first round. So the winners are all the higher seeded players. So the first 16, the people who are at the top always win. So in the second round, 1 plays against 16, that is 1 plays against 16, 2 will play against 15, 2 will play against 15, 3 will play against 14, 4 will play against 13, 5 will play against 12, 6 will play against 11, 7 will play against 10, and 8 will play against 9. Now again notice that in each of these matches the sum totals to 17, that is 1 plus 16 is 17, 2 plus 15 is 17, and so on. This is something that you should keep in mind so that you don't commit any silly mistakes. In the second round, again we are told that all the matches have no upset except matches 6, 7 and 8. So this match has an upset where player 11 wins, this match has an upset where player 10 wins, and this match has an upset where player 9 wins. In all the other matches, the top seeded, the higher ranked player wins. So the people who progress to the quarterfinals are 1 who plays against 9, 2 who will play against 10, 3 who will play against 11, and 4 who will play against 5. So these are the pairings for the quarterfinals. Now we are required to find out who Lindsay Davenport would face. Now let us check what is the seeding of Lindsay Davenport. Lindsay Davenport is seed number 2. So she will face seed number 10. Seed number 10 is Venus Williams. So the correct answer is option D. Now let us go to the next question. If Elena Dementiva and Serena Williams lose the second round, let us first check what is the seed ranking of Elena. Elena is 6. So 6, and what is Serena's ranking? 8. 6 and 8 lose in second round, while Justine Henin and Nadia Petrova. What is Justine Henin? Justine Henin is 7 and Nadia Petrova is 9. They make it to the semifinals. So they won the first round, second round and quarterfinals. Then who would play Maria Sharapova in the quarterfinals? Maria Sharapova is seed number 1. Who will she face in the quarterfinals? In the event that Maria Sharapova reaches the quarterfinals. So again, let us look at all the possible players that Maria Sharapova would face in the quarterfinals and see if, given the information that we have, we will be able to identify her potential opponent in the quarterfinals. So in the first round, we know that 1 faces against seed number 32. There is 2, 31, ... 16 and 17. So in the first round, 1 would face 32. In the second round, 1 would face the winner of 16 and 17. So seed number 1, that is Maria Sharapova, would face either 16 or 17. And in the second round, the pairings will be, suppose let us assume that 16 has 1 just for ease. It would be 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15, ... and 8 versus 9. This is if all the higher ranked players have 1. Now the reason we are considering this is because we want to identify who Maria Sharapova would potentially face in the quarterfinals. So in the quarterfinals, the potential opponents for Maria Sharapova are the winner of 8 and 9. So in quarterfinals, 1 would face either 8 or 9. You could also assume that if 8 or 9 don't reach the quarterfinals, the opponents that 8 or 9 has faced in the second and first round would be facing against Maria Sharapova. But in this case, we are particularly concerned because we know that seed number 9 has reached the semifinals. So we know that seed number 9 was winning all her games, and seed number 9 would face Maria Sharapova in the quarterfinals because seed number 9 has reached the semifinals. In fact, you can go ahead and say that seed number 9 has beaten Maria Sharapova in the quarterfinals and then reached the semifinals. So the correct answer is Maria Sharapova would face seed number 9. Seed number 9 is Nadia Petrova. It has already been given that Nadia Petrova has reached the semifinals. So the correct answer is Nadia Petrova would face Maria Sharapova in the quarterfinals. If in the first round all the even numbered matches and none of the odd numbered matches result in upsets, and there are no upsets in the second round, who could be the lowest seeded player facing Maria Sharapova in the semifinals? Again, it is simple, just putting the pairings correct and then you will be able to get the answer correct. So in the first round, the matches will be 1 versus 32, 2 versus 31, 3 versus 30, 4 versus 29, ... and 16 versus 17. We are told that in all the even numbered matches, that is, in all the even numbered matches, there will be upsets. So the lower ranked players will win. And in all the odd numbered matches, the higher ranked players will win. So as you can see, the second round, if you're only considering the winners, we'll come to the pairings later. The winners will be 1, 31, 3, 29, 5, 27, 7, 25, 9, 23, 11, 21, 13, 19, 15 and 17. These are the players who have won. If you notice, all of them are odd numbers. Now the pairings for the second round will be 1 versus 17, 31 versus 15, 3 versus 19, 29 versus 13, 5 versus 21, 27 versus 11, 7 versus 23 and 25 versus 9. These are the pairings for the second round. The reason we have jotted down all of them is because we know that there are only 8 matches in the second round. So if you can actually individually put them down without trying to find out any sort of a pattern, we will avoid silly mistakes and there is not a lot of calculations involved. We are told that in the second round there are no upsets. So the people who have reached the quarterfinal will be 1, 15, 3, 13, 5, 11, 7 and 9. These are the people who have reached the quarterfinal. Now the pairings for the quarterfinal will be 1 versus 9, 15 versus 7, 3 versus 11 and 13 versus 5. These are the pairings for the quarterfinal. Now we are required to find out who is the lowest seeded player who would face Maria Sharapova, that is seed number 1 in the semi-final. So in the semi-final, Maria Sharapova would face either 13 or 5. We are looking for the lowest seeded player, so the answer is the 13th seeded player. Maria Sharapova in the quarterfinals has faced 9 and she would face the winner of 5 or 13 in the semi-final. As 13th seeded is the lower seed, that is the answer, and 13th seeded is Anastasia Miskina. So the answer is option A. Now let us go to the last question. If the top 8 seeds make it to the quarterfinals, this is quite easy. So in the quarterfinals, all the top 8 seeds have made it. Then who among the following players listed below would definitely not play against Maria Sharapova in the final in case Maria Sharapova reaches the final? So if the top 8 players reach the quarterfinal, the pairings will be 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5. These are the pairings for the quarterfinal. So in the quarterfinal, 1 would face 8 and in the semi-final, 1 would face the winner of 4 or 5. So these are the players that 1 would face either in the quarterfinal or in the semi-final. In the final, Maria Sharapova can face any of the 4, 2 or 3 or 7 or 6, because they will be in the other branch which leads up to the final. So the only way they will face Maria Sharapova is in the finals. But 8 would face her in the quarterfinals and 4 or 5 would face her in the semi-finals. we are required to find out who would definitely not play against Maria Sharapova in the finals. So the answer has to be either 8 or 4 or 5. We will figure out the seedings. Amelie Mauresmo is seed number 3, so she is not the answer. Elena Dementiva is seed number 6, so she is also not the answer. Kim Clijsters is seed number 4. We know that Kim Clijsters can face her only in the semi-final, so this is the correct answer. Just for completion, let us look at even the last option. Lindsay Davenport is seed number 2, so she is also not the correct answer. She also can face Maria Sharapova in the finals. So the correct answer is seed number 4, which is Kim Clijsters, which is option C.